Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing some 7x7 walkthroughs with the Hoya method. These will all be hand scrambles. I'm just going to do cross edges in this video and I'm just going to be showing them on white. Okay, here we go. So there are a few things that I want you to think about while you're doing cross edges, especially on 7x7. And that is something that I've talked about in a video or two before. If you've seen any of my 6x6 walkthroughs, I've mentioned it in there. But the idea of solving some of your cross edges for one edge in sort of the same way as you would on either a 4x4 or a 5x5, and just, doing the same cases but with only some of the pieces. And so on a 7x7, obviously we have one midge, we have two inner wings, and then we have two outer wings. And so there are a couple of ways we can do this. We obviously can't really use any 4x4 tricks on here, but we can use a lot of 5x5 tricks because we have a midge piece. So we can solve midge pieces and the inner wings together, and that will make one big block. And that block again acts like another big midge. So we can then solve that block like a midge and then the two outer wings together using another algorithm in the same way. Or the alternative is we could pair up two wings on the same side and do that on the other side as well. And then we have sort of two bigger wings and a midge, and we can solve them like that. Now, obviously, you don't necessarily want to be doing this on every single solve because, you'll get cases where sometimes it's just better to do other things. But this could be a pretty good blueprint as an idea for how to approach some of your cross edges, and especially try to reduce down your inner slice count because it's very, very easy to use way too many inner slice moves, especially on 7x7, where you really don't need to. So hopefully I'm going to show you how you can do that. So the first thing I'd see here, we've got a couple of red and orange pieces around here, but we've got this green block, and I do want to preserve that. So I'm going to look for green, and I can see the other pieces down here. And this is the midge and an inner wing, and this is the other inner wing. So I'm going to solve this one first, and then I can just insert this in 3 moves like that. Now we've got our other pieces here and here. These are actually in pretty bad positions, but we've got nothing else solved in terms of our edges, so we've got a lot of freedom to change that. And so what I'm going to do firstly is I'm going to bring one to the U layer in such a way that will misorient it. So let's pick this one. So instead of just doing an L2 to bring it to the U layer, it's still not in a great position. I'm going to do something like L and then A B prime, and that has now flipped it. It's in the back and it's in a much better position. And now from this, we can use this in a way to solve this in a nice efficient way. Again, if we just bring this up, it's oriented, so it's not amazing. This case, you can do something like that. You can slice that one in and that flips this one. Or you could do something like this to set up to this case. But from here, knowing that we've already got this piece in the U layer, what I would do is set up to a 4 mover, and I would do this so that these two outer wings can be opposite each other and they're in different orientations. And so this is a 4 mover. You can just do F2, and then in this case it's a 5R wide, U2, 5R wide prime, like that. Now I know we had a few red pieces around, so I can see these two, but they're flipped, so we probably don't want to solve these relative to each other because then we're going to need some slice moves. So we'll look around. We've got another piece here, we've got another piece here, and another piece here. And so again, for this one, we're definitely going to want to do the inner wings and the midge first. So we know red needs to go here. And so these two are both in relatively awkward positions. So I think I'm just going to bring both of them up like this, because now what I can notice is that they're opposite each other and they're in the same orientation. So when I do an F move, then this is ready to be set up in 3 moves to the 3 move trigger. And now we just have this piece as well. So we want to put this in the back so that when we insert this piece, it solves both of them together. And so we can do that in 4 moves like that. And then when we insert these, we notice this is not going to get broken up. It's going to stay down here. So that's an important thing to look out for, because those cases are, relatively easy to learn. A lot of them are really similar when you've got a flipped wing down here. And we know our other piece is here. So we're going to do that to solve those 3 pieces. And then we've got this inner one. And here it doesn't really matter. You can do it in either orientation. The cases are about equal. For simplicity, I'm just going to bring it with an L move like that. And then this case, these 2 pieces, I'm going to do the same way I would a 5x5 case. I'm going to do. And so now I probably am going to do blue, because I can see, again, the 2 inner wings are here, and then we've got this case. So this is already solved, so we might as well keep it solved. And this case is quite nice, and again, there are a couple of different ways you could do this. So obviously this piece is just 4 moves away, which is nice. This one is all right, but there are ways that you can solve both pieces together in a more efficient way. And one of them is by inserting this piece with a sledge, but inserting a U move to take this piece out of its slot before we finish the sledge. So what that could look like is this. So before we do the last F move, we're going to want to move this piece to the right, like that, then do our last F move, and now this piece is just 3 moves away from being solved. The other one, which I find faster on 5x5, but I haven't really tested it on 7x7, so I'm not sure yet. So I would probably do the first solution in this case, but an alternative solution is to set these 2 pieces up next to each other, which might not seem like a great idea, but these 2 pieces then become a 4 mover, and you can actually cancel into that. And so what that solution for these 2 pieces would look like is this. So as you can see, we're setting up these 2 pieces together, and then we cancel in to the 4 mover like that. And actually, in this case, it might not be that bad, because we don't necessarily even want to solve this block yet, because there might be a way that we can force a better case. In this case, actually, we probably can just do an F2 again, and then we have these 2 wings solved that are both 3 movers. However, if we had something like this, we might want to notice that if we just move this piece out of the way and then solve this piece down here, we now have our big midge that's oriented, our other wing is misoriented, so we can set up really easily to 3R wide U2 3R wide prime, or the variation of that in this case. So I know I ended up doing a solution that I said I probably wouldn't necessarily do in a solve, but I just wanted to show you some varying options. So we're just going to carry on from here. We're on our last edge now. We've got orange, and I can see straight away we've got this piece and this piece here, as well as this piece. And this is in a back slot, and although it's misoriented, which isn't too bad, we don't want it to be in a back slot if it doesn't have to be. And I can see that there's nothing down here at all. There's no cross edges down here. So I'd be really tempted to just solve this midge straight away. Because that brings both these pieces to the front, and actually this piece, although it's stuck in a slot, is still going to be a 3 mover. So we can definitely leave that till the end. That's still going to be fine. So I'll bring orange to the front now. I know we've got this piece here, and our other one is back here. So I think probably the best thing to do in this case is to just insert them both separately. This one's already a 3 mover, so that's nice, and this one's going to be a 5 mover. We just bring it down 1 move, and it's a setup to a 3 mover. And then back up, and we can see that this piece is here. We might be able to see our other piece here as well. And so actually, before doing our final R move, undoing that move that we did before, these 2 pieces right next to each other aren't the best case, and there's a really easy way we can just do a U move, put them opposite each other, and now they're a much nicer case, because if we do a U2, we can just insert them both as 3 movers separately, and they don't get messed up. Alright, so next up we have this, and again straight away I can see a few different orange and red pieces, so I'll do one of those first. I can see this red piece, this midge, this inner wing and this outer wing, and I can see pretty much the same thing on orange. I can see a midge, an inner wing and an outer wing. And actually this is quite instructive, because it might not look like they're 2 completely different cases, but actually if you're able to notice, this outer wing is not going to go directly next to this inner wing. This is the left hand outer wing, and this is the right hand inner wing, whereas the 2 wings on red, this is an outer wing and this is an inner wing, they are going to go directly next to each other when they're solved. So I'll probably go with these 2 if I was able to spot that in a solve, which I might not, but if you can spot that, then I'm definitely going to go with these first. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this one and pair these in the U layer with a slice move like that. So now we have this block. And because it's now oriented, I probably am just going to solve it straight away into the D layer, bring this up to the U layer, and our other wing is down here. And again, because we have so little solved, we can set this up in not very many moves at all. We want to set this up to the version of the 3 move trigger, because this is already set up, this is already set up. It's a good general thing to use, a good technique. And so we can do this. It needs to be flipped and in the back, and we can do that with L B prime like that. So now we can solve, oops, now we can solve those two pieces like that, and we have our last one down here, which is nice and easy like that. And now I can see these two blue pieces, which are interesting because they are flipped relative to each other, and the other one's here. So what I will do, because this needs to go this side of the red, I'll probably bring these to the front, because I don't necessarily want to deal with this stuck in a slot. Flipped edge cases are a lot better if they're either in the DF slot or they're in the U layer, as a general rule. So I'm going to keep these in the U layer, and I'm going to solve this piece first, like that. And now we've got this case, these two pieces and this one, which I can solve by pairing these two pieces like this, inserting this one, and then inserting this block, just like that. As I'm doing that, I can see this piece here, and if I look around, we've got our other piece down here. So I'm just going to take this out of the back slot in one move because there's nothing solved down here. And now we have this case again, and because this is outer wings, I might be more comfortable doing the solution that I showed you for inner wings on the previous example, which is setting these two up into the same slot and cancelling into the 4 mover. And also it's righty, and I'm a bit more confident on those right-handed solutions anyway. But that's also something to consider. If there's a solution that's more lefty turning dominant, do you want to play it safer, or do you want to do something that's efficient but harder to execute? That's something that you've got to weigh up for yourself, see what's faster. And in this scenario, I'm pretty sure what I would do is this. So again, setting them up to the 3 mover, and with that last R wide prime, I would cancel into that there. And actually again here, because this is not our last cross edge, and because it's, we want to be solving something else into the front, I'll put the red into the back and put this to the side and solve it like that, instead of having to do another F2, because now I can see a lot more of the cube. I can see this. I probably am going to do orange next, just because I know it needs to go on the front. I've got this piece, I've got this piece, but it's the opposite side to this. Like, this is not going to go here and be solved, it'll go here, and we don't want to create that gap where we'll need some inner slice moves. So I'm just going to solve this one first straight away, and I can't actually see the others, so they're here in the back, which is not a very good case. But again, this is where we can use this sort of empty slot here to help. So yeah, we can bring this straight away in just one move to the U layer. We might as well do that, and then we're going to take this piece out, and actually if we take this out, it'll be oriented. But this honestly isn't too bad of a case, as it goes for cases where all of the pieces are oriented. This is one of the better ones. So I'm just going to do this. So now we've got this wing solved, this wing and this one, and I'm just going to do a 4R wide U2 and a 4R wide prime, and then I've got a U2 and I've got exactly the same case. So it's really nice to execute, it's pretty safe, and yeah, not too bad all things considered. So we've got our next piece here and another one here, and again we're going to just take it out of this slot using one move. There's no need to be more complicated than that. And if we bring it to the front, we've got this case, which is really nice. This is actually, again, a 3-move setup to the 3-move trigger. It might not look like it, but the way we can think about it is we want to solve this edge. This is already oriented, and this is oriented relative to it, and they're opposite, which is nice. So if we did an F2, then this would be set up, but we need to also consider this. So instead of just doing an F2, we can do an F prime. Then this is now misoriented, so we want to put it in the back with a U2 and then another F prime, and now we're ready to solve those pieces. And as I'm doing that, I see this one is going to come to the top layer, and this one is already in the top layer, but it's going to end up down here. And again, we don't have anything free here, but I might be able to see this piece, which is in a back slot. So if this piece ends up down here, oriented, after this trigger, then it might be a good idea to just solve it straight away, because it's an inner wing. It's a good piece to solve as our first piece. It's a good building block. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do that straight away. And now, actually, this is a good example. I was hoping this would come up because we've got this outer block already made. So this, I think, is a situation when you definitely want to use the idea that I mentioned briefly at the start that I haven't touched on yet, where you pair up the 2 outer wings together, and then do the same for the other 2 outer wings. You make 2 blocks like that and then treat it like a 5x5 case. That one's harder to do sometimes, because you might need some slice moves to do it. It's less sort of common But in this case, we've already got one pre-made, and so if we can build the other one while preserving this, then that's definitely something we want to do. That's definitely a case where using this technique would be worth it. And in this case, we can just insert this piece normally. It's not going to break up that piece there, and that's really nice. And now we actually have a really nice case here as well. We want to do actually an F move to solve the midge, and then we can insert both of these blocks in just 3 moves like that. And so that actually worked out really well. All right, here we go, last one for now. And straight away, obviously I can see these 2 orange pieces, and I can actually see 2 more in the U layer. There is actually one back here. I don't know if I'd noticed that straight away. But the important thing is to notice that these 2 are separate. There's a gap between them. So in theory, we do need to use a slice move to solve that. And actually, I can see this piece already here is already set up. So in this case, it's probably just worth it to just insert the piece like that, bite the bullet. There's no point trying to do anything too fancy otherwise, because you were going to have to do that pretty much anyway. The next thing, these 2 pieces, we can pair them together in the U layer. It's a little bit complicated, and specifically for this case, when they're both wings that go on the same side, I don't think it's necessarily worth it. You can do it on a 5x5. It's really nice to execute, but here I'll do a slightly different solution where I'm going to insert this and cancel into inserting this. And again, that does use a slice move, but I think in this scenario it probably is the best. So I'm going to insert that, and then as I'm going down with that, I'm going to bring up this slice and then just insert the piece like that. Now I might have seen that this down here didn't move at all. I've got a green outer wing, I've got a green piece here, a green piece here. So I'll probably just go ahead and do that. Although as I'm doing this, as I'm aligning it, I'm seeing this piece, which if I do that, is going to end up in not a very good position. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put it opposite this piece, like that. And now that's a nicer position. And we have this case. We've got 2, we've got the midge and an inner wing. And this time I am going to pair them up in the U layer, a bit like I was saying before, because we've got the freedom to do it. We haven't got too many pieces solved yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wing in the back, the midge on this side, and I'm just going to pair them up like that. So as you can see, we've now got these pieces here. I'm going to look around and see if there's anything I can do with the other one. It's here. And because these 2 pieces need to go on the left, next to this piece. In this case, I don't think I'm going to try and solve these 2 first. I'm just going to insert these and then solve this next, because I know this is going to be a 5 mover already. If it were these 2 pieces that I solved, the midge and the right hand inner wing, then I wouldn't necessarily want to insert that block there, because again, you would leave that gap where you'd need a slice move to insert that last remaining piece. But this isn't that case, so I'm just going to go ahead and insert them like that. I'm seeing this block, I'm going to keep track of that. I definitely want to preserve that if I can. So I know this next piece is down here, so I'm just going to do a simple 1 move setup, and I can see from here that because this is an inner wing, it's going to break up this block if I do that. So actually before I do that piece, I probably just move this down here so it's safe, and that actually has the added bonus of bringing this piece up, which is really useful. I don't know if I would have thought all of that in time, but yeah, if you can preserve a block like that in 1 move, definitely worth doing. So that's something to look out for. So now I'm going to do this piece again, just simple 1 move setup, insert it like that, and then undo the setup move, and I know this piece is back here. I can insert it straight away with a U2. And now actually this is quite nice because I know this is in the back and it's oriented, this block. So we might as well put it in the D layer directly. We know it's blue, so we're going to want it to be opposite green like that. And then I've got these 2 pieces here that I can see, and then this one in the back. Now this is a 3 mover. This is a 3 mover. This is not a good case. So I'm going to have a think and see if there is any way that I can maybe especially insert this piece and turn this into a better orientation. I don't think there is, unfortunately. So yeah, probably what I'll do is something that's quite nice. In this case, I can pair up these in actually 4 moves, and they're not going to be in the DF slot, but as I've shown before, that's not essential for this case because we've still got the 2 outer wings unsolved, so we can treat it like another 5x5 case afterwards. And so the way you can solve these, or I should say you can pair these pieces in 4 moves, if we do an F move, set these up to here, this one's still here, we can then do a 3R wide prime, and then an F, and then a 3R wide, and that makes this block here. And now we have this piece and this piece. So I don't necessarily want to do an F2 because it's a little bit awkward to do, and it puts this piece in not a great spot. And I could insert this straight away. It would flip this, and cases where the midge is flipped are generally not as good as cases where it's oriented. However, in this case, we could look and see that this piece is not going to move when we do that. So if we insert this just with wide moves, this will come up to here and become just a 3 mover. And honestly, that's quite a nice solution. So I probably would just do that. So we've inserted that piece. Now we're going to insert this big block. This has become a 4 mover, sorry. And so that's nice to insert there. And so now we've got red, we've got just our last cross edge left, and I can see these 2 wings opposite each other in the U layer. They're both in different orientations, which is important. And then we have the midge here. We do also have this piece solved, but I can't really see a great way to insert, like 2 pieces at a time and preserve this. Because if we're just inserting one piece, especially if it's this, as you can see, we've got 2 pieces that aren't next to each other. We're going to need slice moves here, which, as I've said before, is not very good. There is a pretty decent way we can set the 2 inner wings and the midge up to the 3 move trigger. And the way to do that is we can see this is oriented, this is misoriented. So, we're going to want to keep those as they are pretty much. And the midge needs to be, it needs to change orientation. And so while we could just do an F2 and then get this case, which actually isn't that bad at all. The way I would solve this, incidentally, is by pairing these 2 up like that, and then inserting with the same wide moves. So it's a 2-gen solution. And so that's nice, apart from the F2 at the start, which if we can avoid would be great. And there is a slightly shorter solution, and that is setting up to the 3 move trigger. So the way we can do this is do an F prime like that, and then we can put this opposite this piece in the same orientation, do another F prime like that, and now we have these 3 pieces ready to be solved. And now we just have this piece, and this is a case where it's probably just best to insert them separately because this is a 3 mover and this is a 5 mover. So there you go. There was a few 7x7 walkthrough solves. I hope that helped, and I hope that showed a couple of the different variations of those techniques that you can use, especially on 6x6 and 7x7, the sort of reducing to 5x5 cross edge cases. Again, like I said, the case or the technique where you pair up the 2 outer wings on each side and then the midge, that's definitely a rarer case, a lot more situational. You probably only want to do that if you can already see one of those blocks of wings is like already built, because then I think it's worth it. But something I do think is worth it a lot of the time, as you've seen me do a lot of the time here, is solving the midge and the 2 inner wings, or at least pairing them up relative to each other, and then treating that block as a new midge, and then solving that relative to the outer wings. It's not super efficient, and a lot of the time, maybe not a lot of the time, but certainly some of the time, you'll just see cases where it's more efficient to do something else, pair all of the pieces in the U layer, or whether most of the pieces are just 3 move inserts, and that's fine. Like, it's all situational, and that's why I want to do quite a few of these walkthrough solves to hopefully try and show as many of those situations as possible. But I'd also encourage you to, with these techniques in mind, do some untimed practice solves and look for things like this yourself and see what you think is going to be the best on a case-by-case basis. So yeah, I hope this video helped, and thanks a lot for watching.